What are y'all? This DJ Illmatic back once again, coming at you live and direct, straight from my crib, USA. Daily Operation, episode 22. Here to chop it up with you about all the goings on in the gaming world today. Electric relaxation. I spent this week playing what pretty much everyone else is playing, and that's Batman Arkham Knight. Love this game. It definitely goes to the top or very close to the top of my game of the year list so far. Love everything about it. I honestly have no complaints. Some people are not happy with the Batmobile being added, and honestly it took a minute for me to get used to the Batmobile. The controls of it took some getting used to, but now that I'm used to the controls, I love the addition of the Batmobile. I love the missions in which you go around and destroy different tanks. I love the little races, the Riddler challenges. Now, admittedly, the Riddler challenges can be very challenging, and there have been times where I've gotten frustrated and had to step away and come back. But overall, I really love the addition of the Batmobile. It plays very similar to the other games, which is not a bad thing because the other Batman games were so amazing. Probably the star of the show for me is the story, and I'm not going to give any spoilers here. It's not the main plot line, and I haven't made it to the end, so in the end it may turn out being the main plot line, but I don't think it's the main plot line that is really the key to the story, but it is the side story featuring a key character, and like I said, I'm not going to give any spoilers, but this is the dynamic between Batman and this other character is probably the best I've seen in the series. I absolutely love the dynamic and how they feed off each other and the dialogue. Really, it's a one-sided dialogue, but just that dialogue back and forth is absolutely amazing. I love every bit of it. A lot of times it's just kind of, you'll stop somewhere in the middle of the city and it's just a little conversation will take place, but I just love how that takes place. Getting close to the end of the game, there's so much in it to do, especially the Riddler, finding all the little Riddler trophies. I think there's over 200 of them. Not sure if I actually make it through all of those. But overall, I love this game. I have no complaints. The graphics are beautiful. Everything about it is enjoyable. The combat, the weapons, the gadgets. I'm enjoying the story. So everything is amazing to me, and I have no complaints. And it'll be interesting to see going forward. Now, Rocksteady has said this is the last Batman game they're going to make. It'll be interesting to see, and rumors are, especially with the little Easter eggs in the Batman Arkham Knight game itself, it looks like the next Rocksteady game may be a Superman game. It'll be interesting to see if they can pull that off. Don't get me wrong, Rocksteady has done an amazing job with Batman. They're obviously a very talented developer, but the tone of Batman and the setting and the darkness of the storylines kind of make the game. Is one of the key ingredients to the game. And Superman, I'm not a huge Superman reader, but from everything I know of Superman, it's kind of the opposite. Metropolis is the exact opposite of Gotham in terms of its tone and setting. And so it'll be interesting to see if they can pull off a Superman game, if that is what they're working on next. But they are a very talented developer, so it'll be interesting to see what they do with that. Alright, next up on the show we have Buck 'em Down. This is a segment of the show we buck down the foolishness and the ignorance in the gaming world today. And I want to talk about an article that was posted on Kotaku a week and a half ago that made its rounds on social media and various other places that encouraged everyone to stop pre-ordering video games. And basically I'm going to summarize the overall point of the article. The writer of the article basically said when it comes, and I'm quoting although he cusses, so I'll change it up a little bit, but he says, but when it comes down to it, pre-orders suck. They're a, paraphrase here, terrible practice, and they exist not to serve you, but to serve the people who sell video games. Participating in this terrible practice helps propagate the terrible practice, so stop participating. Now, this article bothered me for a couple of reasons, because it came across as either I'm at fault because I'm culpable because I'm culpable in the problems facing the video game industry because I take part in this practice, or I'm not wise enough to realize I'm being fooled, and so I'm just not smart enough to know not to participate. And I don't agree with either one of those things, and I don't agree with all of the blame he places on the pre-ordering of video games. Now, another quote from the article, the author, a man by the name of Plunkett, last name Plunkett, I can't remember his first name. He says that the culture surrounding pre-orders that is most responsible is it's the culture, excuse me, it's the culture surrounding pre-orders that is most responsible for the trail of broken and unfinished games. Now, my first question would be, what broken games is he referring to? Because having games with glitches is not the same thing as being broken. A broken game does not work. A broken game you cannot play. And so the only game I can think of recently, and I didn't play it myself, was Drive Club. I believe Drive Club, you could not actually play that game. But if a game has glitches, frame rate hiccups, whatever it is, that's not broken, okay? And so that's hyperbole to say that there's a trail of broken games. Very rarely is a game broken. Very rarely is a game unplayable, okay? So that was my first issue. Now, also another thing he said is that pre-orders, developers, retailers look at pre-orders as confirmed sales. Now, I can't speak for retailers or publishers if they do feel that way, but I don't know why they would. Now, I know games. Now, if you pre-order a digital game, especially on PlayStation 4, which is where I do it, I think you are locked in. So, of course, that would be a confirmed sale. But GameStop, for instance, I used to pre-order from GameStop all the time, and you had 48 hours to pick up the game. And there have been many games that I've pre-ordered that the initial reviews or the initial word of mouth or what I saw from maybe a Twitch stream, I was not impressed with, and so I just canceled my pre-order. So nothing was confirmed about the sale. Another thing he brought up was he feels like because of pre-orders and because many people that pre-order are a confirmed sale, that advertising has become more important than reviews and word of mouth. And he said that video game reviews and word of mouth used to determine a game's success, and now not so much because of pre-orders. Now, I've talked about video game reviews before. In reality, if you buy, and I've talked about this before, if you buy a terrible game, the fault lies at your feet. It doesn't lie at the developer, the publisher for advertising, because it's their job to sell you the product. So, of course, they're going to tell you their game is the greatest game ever made, bar none. But with all the preview articles, with all the news sources, all the websites, all the Twitch streams, people always get games earlier and are playing them on Twitch. With all the information available to you, if you buy a bad game, a game you do not enjoy, the fault lies squarely and solely at your feet. I cannot think of a game that I've bought that I was not happy with, that I did not get my money's worth at least. Drive Club was broken when it launched, but you know what? I didn't buy Drive Club when it launched because there were a lot of signs that, you know what, I'm not really sure about this game. So if you were paying attention to those signs, you wouldn't have jumped in feet first. And so I can't really think of a video game I was burned on. And so you just got to be willing. You got to do your due diligence. You got to do your homework and make sure you're buying a good product. And also, I mean, reviews, I don't like the fact, the article puts forth the idea that reviews, that it was a good thing when video game reviews and word of mouth made or broke games. I don't necessarily think that's a good thing anymore, or necessarily ever was a good thing. First of all, word of mouth. The internet has changed the word of mouth culture to where everyone, regardless if they have any actual facts about a game or not, even if they've played, everyone's opinion can be heard now, even if no matter how inaccurate or misinformed it is, it can be heard. So it's very hard to count on word of mouth. No one that is sane is going to go to Metacritic and rely on user reviews before they buy a game. In terms of video game review sites, if you can find a reviewer you trust, if you can find a person whose opinion pretty much lines up with yours most of the time, that's great, but they're not always necessarily going to be reviewing the game you're interested in, and so that doesn't really help you as well. You know what you like, do the homework, and you should be able to figure out what games you want or what games you'll like and don't like. Now, there is a caveat to all of this, and that caveat is undoubtedly, when dealing with video games, unquestionably, the best option is to always wait. There's no 100% of the time, if you can wait, that is the best option when it comes to video games. We're talking about a new game or a new console. Those people who have recently bought a PS4 and Xbox One, they purchased a much better console than those of us that jumped in day one. There's no question in that. A video game, the longer you can wait with a video game, you're going to get a more stable product. You're going to have the update patches. Things are going to get fixed. You'll probably be able to catch it on sale. If you can wait a year or more, you're going to get a greatest hits collection that includes all the DLC for a cheaper price. So undoubtedly, waiting is the best option. But this goes back to why and I think most people pre-order games, and why I don't see pre-ordering as a bad thing, because it accomplishes the goal that I want it to accomplish. I pre-order a game not for the exclusive little content here or there. I pre-order a game because I want to play that game as soon as possible, and pre-ordering helps me accomplish that. And so I'll give you an example. Fallout 4, I cannot wait to play Fallout 4, so I'm going to pre-order that game. I want to play Fallout 4 as soon as possible, and pre-ordering lets me accomplish that goal. Do I think it will be bug-free? No, I don't have any illusions to that. But as long as it's not broken, as long as I can actually play the game, I'm fine with it. And so pre-ordering accomplishes my number one goal. It lets me play a game as soon as I want to. The author of this article also said that pre-orders have brought an end to demos, which I don't necessarily agree with. I think it may have something to do with it, but I think a lot of games nowadays, their betas are their demos. So I think that's one of the reasons you've seen developers move away from demos. Probably also it's not worth the time and effort in actuality, because more people probably rely on Twitch and YouTube than they would a demo anyway. So I don't necessarily put no demos all on the back of pre-orders. Now, the author brought up two games, Assassin's Creed Unity and Halo. Now, first of all, I've talked about Unity before, I had no issues with Unity. Now, the idea that you're going to get a game, ideally we would all want a game that has absolutely no glitches, bugs, whatever. But in reality, we're not going to have that. People always say, well, in the past they released games without bugs. Yes, but you were dealing with 8 and 16-bit games. They were not nearly as complicated as games nowadays. I'm pretty sure nowadays developers could make all the 8 and 16-bit games in the world they wanted to without bugs. But when you have all these moving parts, you're going to have bugs. That's understandable. I understand that. The reason these games also launch with a lot of bugs is not because, and this is the author's kind of point of view, he came at it as, well, the developers feel like once they have your money, they have no reason to fix things. And the example he gave was Halo. The Halo Master Chief Collection, the online, did not work like it was supposed to. Now, in fairness to 343, they were trying to accomplish something no one had ever accomplished before, and that was or putting together 3 different games and 3 different multiplayer suites. So there was a lot to go into it. But basically, his point was that if you pre-order Halo 5, you're not giving 343 Studios any initiative or any incentive to fix the problems. That they might as well just put out the same broken type of game because, hey, they already got your money. To me, that discredits the developer. It insinuates that developers don't have pride in their work, that they don't love what they do and take pride in what they produce, that developers are fine with releasing a broken product. And I completely disagree. These men and women put hours and hours and devote their lives to making their games, so they want to make the best possible product. And so to shortchange them, to say that they're just in it for the money and they'll just release a broken game because they already got your money, I just completely and totally disagree with. Also, even if I concede that point that they are money hungry and don't care, their incentive to create Halo 5 and make sure it works, it would be the competition involved. Star Wars Battlefront, Call of Duty Black Ops 3. These games are going to ensure that Halo 5 is the best possible product they could be, because if not, they're not going to get the sales the other one does. They're not going to be able to. It's not going to have the longevity and sell the DLC these others do. So there's always incentive to make the best possible product. These people are not perfect, however. Okay, games have to be patched, but as long as a game is not broken, it's not that serious. And I completely disagree. So for me, myself, I'm going to continue to pre-order games because it accomplishes exactly what I wanted to do. It allows me to play the game as soon as possible. And I'm not going to lose any sleep because there's a minor glitch or hiccup here or there. And so that's all the time we got for this week's episode of Daily Operation. This has been DJ Illmatic, Daily Operation. Once again, check us out at 8bitchimp.com for all that gaming flavor you savor, 8bitchimp.com. Also, check me out on iTunes, search 8-Bit Chimp and you'll find Daily Operation on iTunes. Also check me out on YouTube, DJ_Illmatic. Get at me on Twitch at the same thing, DJ_Illmatic, and holla at me on Twitter, DJ Illmatic23, all together, no spaces, no underscores. Get at me at one or all 3 of those joints. I will get back to you. Once again, fat shout out to my organized gamers family. This has been DJ Illmatic. We out, y'all. One.